It's great to be back in the town of my birth. And also, just in the material that was sent to me some weeks ago, there was a copy of a biography of James Fintan Lalor by my old, much loved and lamented Professor Thomas P. O'Neill. And on the inside cover there was a map of places where I presume James Fintan Lalor roamed and rambled as a boy, including Cullen, where I would have spent some of my summer holidays from the age of about 10 with the Fingleton family. But to come to the matter in hand, I came across a quote along the lines of, "Land is all that matters, Tig boy, own your own land." It was the Bull McCabe's first words to his son in John B. Keane's The Field. And coming on to James Fintan Lalor, I suppose he was one of the first writers to use his talents on behalf of the Irish tenant cause, fought for tenant rights, especially what was later termed the 3Fs: fair rent, fixity of tenure and freedom of sale. And I suppose he was somebody who yoked land to the national question in 1847, thereby successfully changing the tone and the content of Irish politics for much of the remainder of the century. As I think O'Neill would argue, his writings were inspiring, or did inspire the leaders of the next 60 years to struggle for the restoration of land to the people for national freedom. And also, indeed, he inspired the spirit that united the national movement of Parnell and the land agitation of Davitt. And so it's, I suppose, a statement of the obvious, as we all know, that property holds and always has held an extraordinary place in Irish society, Irish life, Irish politics, and indeed our legal system. As we know, the Constitution, Article 43, displays a great reverence for property, with the state acknowledging that man has the natural right to the private ownership of external goods. Article 43 also guarantees that the state will pass no law attempting to abolish the right of private ownership, or the general right to transfer, bequeath and inherit property. It also goes on to say, by the way, that it recognises, however, that the exercise of these rights ought in civil society to be regulated by the principles of social justice, and that the state accordingly may, as occasion requires, delimit by law the exercise of the said rights with the view to reconciling their exercise with the exigencies of the common good. Now, hopefully Michael McDougall will be here in time to, if you like, tease out the implications of some of that. Certainly, I suspect our other three speakers will have a lot of ideas to offer on that. And we know, for instance, that the new Minister for the Environment and Local Government, Alan Kelly, has said that social housing is his number one priority. Question is, will he be able to deliver on that? Is there a duty on him and on other government ministers to do more to increase the housing supply? With NAMA's stronger health giving it more flexibility on how it does its business, does the agency, and what exactly will the agency's role be in providing social housing? You can go back 40 years, 4 decades, to the Kenny report of 1974 and ask, what of its relevance? It's mentioned from time to time with its recommendations that local authorities be able to purchase development land for its existing value plus 25%. Could that be an idea worth revisiting? What about builders and developers? What about banks? On the other hand, are we too attached to the idea of property and land ownership? Do we have an obsession with it? We know, and I think we're reminded from time to time, that people in Germany, 40% of them live in rented accommodation. It's over half the population in Switzerland do likewise. Is there a role for rent control? So these and other questions are those that we're going to examine in the next, maybe an hour and a half. I think Peter McVerry is on a parking meter that is going to unwind at 1:30 or thereabouts. So we know who the speakers are, and I would like to call first of all on somebody who was born, as I said, like myself, in this town. Would you welcome, please, Pat Moylan?